Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are slicing into the really fascinating world of meal kits. We're going to do a deep dive on one of the industry's most interesting companies, MenuCraft, to figure out exactly what it takes to win in this incredibly competitive space.
You know, have you ever opened one of those boxes, laid out all the little packets, and just wondered, what's the actual strategy here? What are the logistics, the numbers, the real story behind getting these perfectly portioned ingredients right to my doorstep? Well, that is exactly what we are going to unpack today.
Okay, let's get into it. Here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the absolute basics. What even is a meal kit? Then, we'll zoom out to see the market battle happening in Ayeland. After that, we'll get to know our main subject, MenuCraft, see how they actually make the box, we'll crunch the numbers on their performance, and finally, look at the risks they're facing and what the future might look like.
All right, first things first. Before we can really get into the nitty-gritty of strategy and spreadsheets, we've got to be on the same page about the product itself. At its heart, what is a meal kit?
Well, at its core, it's a subscription service that is all about convenience. You get a box delivered to your home with every single ingredient you need, all measured out, along with a step-by-step recipe card. It's basically the perfect solution for anyone who wants to cook a great meal at home, but wants to skip the hassle of meal planning and grocery shopping. And for you, the customer, the whole process is designed to be super simple and really flexible. It basically boils down to 3 steps. First, you set up an account, the usual details, address, payment stuff. Then comes the fun part. You select all your preferences. How many people are you feeding? Are you vegetarian? How many recipes do you want a week? And the crucial part is step 3. You have total control. You can change meals, skip a week, or cancel your order entirely, as long as you do it at least 48 hours before delivery.
Okay, so that's the product. But a product never exists in a vacuum. To really understand a company like MenuCraft, we have to understand the world they're operating in. And let me tell you, this is not some small niche market. It is a full-blown battleground.
And the scale we're talking about is just massive. This number, $25 billion, that was the value of the global market way back in 20x4. But here's the kicker. Forecasts are predicting this market is going to triple to over $75 billion in the next decade. That is an enormous pie that every company is fighting for a slice of.
So how does that global fight look on the ground in Ayeland? Well, you've got the global heavyweight, Freshti, holding a commanding lead with 35% of the market. But look who's right there behind them. Holding down a very strong second place is our company, MenuCraft, with a solid 24%. They're proving they can absolutely go toe-to-toe with the biggest players.
And this chart right here, this explains everything. It shows exactly why everyone is fighting so hard for this market. The total number of people in Ayeland signing up for meal kits is on this beautiful, steady, upward climb. The demand isn't just there, it's growing, consistently, year after year. It's a really attractive space to be in.
So, with that fierce competition as the backdrop, let's zoom in on the star of our explainer, MenuCraft. This is a company that hasn't just survived against a global giant, they've actually thrived by doubling down on their local identity.
MenuCraft was started 15 years ago, right there in Ireland, and their strategic secret sauce, a relentless, unapologetic focus on being local. Instead of trying to be everything to everyone, they carve out their niche by creating recipes that actually appeal to local tastes, and by sourcing their ingredients from local island producers. It's a for-island, by-island strategy, through and through.
And who's buying into this strategy? Well, today, families make up a full half of their entire customer base. Now, that's not just an interesting statistic. It's a sign of a massive strategic win. Because if you go back just 5 years, couples were their biggest segment at 60%. They have successfully shifted their focus to capture the family market, which is often bigger and way more stable.
And you can see that shift has paid off big time. I mean, the proof is right here in this chart. Their active customer base has more than doubled in just 5 years, climbing steadily to almost 500,000 people. This is the tangible result of that focused, local-first strategy. It's clearly working.
So they've got the strategy, and they've got the customers. But how do they actually do it? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the incredibly complex operational machine that turns all those local ingredients into a perfectly packed box on someone's doorstep.
It all starts with a super local and really efficient supply chain. They're working with over 600 suppliers, most of them right there in Ireland. And they prioritize quality, things like safety certifications and organic farming. Now, to manage all this, they use some pretty smart algorithms to predict demand, which is how they keep their food waste under 1%, which is amazing. Their inventory system is clever too. Long-life stuff is kept in a warehouse, but the fresh ingredients are delivered just in time, like only 24 to 48 hours before they're packed. Even their packaging is local and 100% recyclable.
Okay, so once all those ingredients are in the building, they hit the production line. And this is a really cool blend of automation and a human touch. Robots handle the repetitive stuff, like reading a barcode, grabbing the right size box, and popping in a chill pack. But then, real people take over for the most important part, packing the ingredients, scanning the barcode at every station to make sure it's all accurate. And there's one final human quality check before the box is sealed. The entire process from start to finish takes just 3 hours, and then it's handed off to their delivery partner, GoFlow, for refrigerated shipping.
So, a great local strategy, a slick operation. It all sounds pretty impressive, but the real question is, does it actually translate to a healthy business? To answer that, we have to look at the numbers. Let's really dig into MenuCraft's performance over the last 5 years.
And the answer is, oh yeah. On the top line, the story is fantastic. Their total revenue has more than doubled in 5 years. It's gone from about $100 million in 20x0 to well over $225 million by the end of 20x4. That is just a powerful, powerful growth trajectory.
But, and this is a really important but, when we look at the rate of that growth, a more complex story starts to emerge. Back in 20x1, the revenue grew by a staggering 45%. By 20x4, that growth rate had slowed down to 18%. Now, don't get me wrong, 18% growth is still really healthy, but this slowdown is a clear signal of that intense market competition we talked about earlier. It's just getting tougher and tougher to keep up that explosive pace.
So let's look at their core output, the actual meals they deliver. The volume here is just as impressive as the revenue. They've gone from delivering about 16 million individual meals in 20x0 to over 36 million in 20x4. Again, that's more than double, which shows their operational engine is scaling up really effectively.
And, you probably guessed it, the growth rate for meals delivered tells the exact same story we saw with revenue. It's cooled off from a high of 42% growth in 20x1 down to 15% by 20x4. The trend lines for both revenue growth and meal growth are practically mirroring each other, and they paint a really clear picture. Strong overall performance, but with growing pressure from the competition.
This brings us to our final section. MenuCraft has been incredibly successful, there's no doubt about it, but no business operates without risk, so let's look at the challenges that the company itself has identified as it tries to navigate the path forward.
Looking at their own risk report, they are zeroed in on 4 key areas. First, that relentless competition we've been talking about, not just from direct rivals, but also from supermarkets and restaurants. Second, legal and regulatory stuff. They're under the strict eye of the Ayeland Food Standards Agency, and one slip-up on safety could be devastating. Third, customer retention. This is a huge problem for the whole industry, with customers constantly jumping ship for a better discount somewhere else. And finally, data and information security. Because in a digital-first business like this, protecting customer data is absolutely everything.
And all of this leaves us with the final, crucial question. MenuCraft built its entire success on being the local champion. But is that local-first strategy a strong enough defense to protect its future? Or will the pressures of a crowded, global market force them to come up with a whole new recipe for success? That really is the multi-million-dollar question. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.